Greetings, Berkshire County. Thank you for joining us on iBerkshiresTV, another Zoom interview. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined by Kim McCann, who is the Executive Director of the Berkshire Food Bank in North Adams, and that's at the First Congregational Church on Main Street in North Adams. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us.
Sure.
I can't imagine the logistical nightmare that sort of came down in your life a couple months ago when this whole thing started. If you could describe to me a normal Berkshire Food Bank week, if there is such a thing, of 3 months ago versus what it is today.
So, sure, a normal week at the Berkshire Food Project a few months ago.
Excuse me, Berkshire Food Project, my bad.
Would be anywhere from 75 to 100 people coming into our welcoming dining room, having a cup of coffee and a pastry, hanging out for a little while, and then us serving a nice hot meal on glass, china dishes, and having sort of a restaurant experience. We would, but by the end of the day, serve anywhere from 100 to 110 or 15 meals. That's a little bit more than the number of people that would go through the line because people come back for seconds. And sometimes after they've had seconds, they also take some home for somebody. We would also be operating with anywhere from a dozen to 15 volunteers helping our small staff on any day that we're open. Right now, because of the crisis that's going on and the underlying concerns people have, one of the things we did is we canceled all of our volunteer shifts because we don't want to put our volunteers at risk. And we also understand that every time another person comes into our dining room or our kitchen, that's adding more risk of someone who's been infected exposing all of us. So we reduced the number of people that are in our building initially. Then we really reduced the number of people in the building because we got a tent and we started doing takeout only from outside. So right now, maybe 80, 90 people come through our line, but they're picking up food for several hundred people. Wow. The governor has asked that people stay home. So we've echoed that. So someone may come up in the line, it's an individual person, they're picking up for their next door neighbors and their whole family, and they need meals for 6 people or 8 people. So fewer people through the line, which is outside under a tent, and then the meals are handed over to them in takeout containers to go. So that's a big change. Right now, we're moving about 300 meals an hour while we're open. We're open for 90 minutes, and in that 90 minutes time, we are, and this changes, it creeps up every single day. Right now, we're talking at the very beginning of May, and we're doing about 435 meals in a 90-minute setting. And it was, 428 the day before, and it was 418 the day before. So it just creeps up a little each day. We can't, without our, at the end of a month, we normally would have 1,000 hours of volunteer time. Right now we have about 100. We have very few people coming in to help us. Basically, the kitchen manager and I, our husbands are both out of work, and we've been bringing them in to help us. And we have a couple of people who help outside, do some sorting of donations and things like that. So obviously the 3 of us can't do all of those meals. We've been really lucky to get some COVID funds through the Berkshire United Way, Northern Berkshire United Way, Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation, to buy restaurant meals. And that's been great because, one, we can help the restaurants by placing big orders, placing them long enough in advance that they can be prepared for them. And then it helps us. So right now, about half of our meals are coming from restaurants and half are being prepared in our kitchen.
That's absolutely incredible. So
yeah,
your volunteer hours are almost nil.
Yeah.
And your meals have tripled. To say the least, have tripled, and you're now doing it outside. Right. Today is gorgeous, but the weather has not always worked out.
Right.
And I think we've heard so many new terms, everything we've heard about spiking and flattening the curve. But in your world, that might not be the case. We're seeing such massive layoffs. You just said both you and your kitchen manager's husband are not working.
Yeah. Right.
So whereas your meals have tripled, this might not be the reverse spike. You might not see that. You might be here for a while. So talk about some long-term effects of now there are COVID-19 funds available.
Right.
that might not be the case for long term. So what are your plans
Well,
long term?
and that's our concern right now. We have some of the people that are coming to get meals from us right now are people we've seen long term. They're people who have relied on us for a while for whatever reason. It may be a physical disability or a mental health issue or whatever. For whatever reason, they've needed meals long term. Some of those people are still coming to see us, but a lot of them are staying home. We're not sure how they're doing. We don't know where they're getting their food. We're not sure what's going on with them. At the same time, we have a lot of new faces. So our concern is if people start trickling back, which they have begun to do, we're seeing more and more of our old regulars coming, and every day we're also developing new regulars. So our concern is that, over the summer, our normal is going to be far greater than it used to be before this crisis. Because even when people go back to work, they're not going to immediately be back on their feet. They're going to have back rent. They're going to have back car payments. They're going to have back bills. It's going to take people a while to get back on their feet. And at the same time, people are going to get more and more comfortable coming out. And so what we're anticipating is we're going to see a lot more people over the summer, say, and we still don't know what the guidelines are going to be. Are we going to be able to serve in our dining room? Are people going to be able to sit down and have a cup of coffee and enjoy the meal? Or are we going to be continuing to just do takeout? So there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know when we reopen, will we have to have dividers in between the tables? Maybe we can go back in the dining room, but we have half as many tables. Well, if we have half as many tables and twice as many people, we're going to have to be open more hours. How are we going to do all of that? So there's a lot of unknowns right now. The one thing that's keeping us all going is that so far, no one has gone hungry. We haven't turned a single person away. We've had enough food for everybody, and we expect to continue to be able to do that.
I think again, on behalf of Berkshire County, we're trying to spotlight some of the positive things. We did an interview yesterday with a gentleman from Berkshire Money Management who's giving away masks today, who's providing, I think it's something like 800 meals in about an hour. I'm going to be talking to a woman who works at Berkshire Gas, but it's the Pay It Forward program. They're doing a meal giveaway Saturday. Mm-hmm. It's the most incredible thing. On behalf of Berkshire County, thank you to you and the whole team. But there is a challenge, a lot of these new guidelines, and getting this news out to a lot of your clients. A lot of them they don't have readily available internet access or access to newspapers or anything really.
And something that happens, our brains, we think we all multitask, but we really don't. What happens is we bounce back and forth between the things we're working on, and we think we're doing it all at once. And when people are living in crisis, whether it's a mental health issue or poverty or whatever, they're not always able to absorb all of the information that's being thrown at them. And so, we've had people that are really struggling. I've had more than one person who says to me, but why do I need to wear a mask? I'm not sick. Why do you want 6 feet in between us? I'm not sick. And we're really trying to help people understand. We're trying to keep them from getting sick. But there has been a little bit of a learning curve there. And the longer this goes on, I think for some people, the harder it is because they're experiencing more and more social isolation and they're feeling more and more lonely. And it's hard to understand.
Yeah, I think definitely the mental illness factor, and I am what you would call normal, and I'll put that in quotations because a lot of people would disagree with that, but it's hard on me. I'm struggling. Mm-hmm. It was hard 6 weeks ago to realize this is where a lot of us would be mentally. A lot of my friends say, geez, I thought I was kind of a tough guy, and that's not really the sense. We're all struggling. But I think the message that I'd love to get across today is this is not stopping. We may get the all, and it might take 6 months, but we may get the all clear in 6 months. It may take a year, but there are going to be long-term effects that linger. And one of them is food insecurity. So if you're out there and you want to get in touch with the Berkshire Food Project, what's the best way to do that?
So our website is a really good way to do that, berkshirefoodproject.org. It's really hard right now because we're not taking a lot of donations of, say, food items because everything has to be sanitized before it can come in the building. So making financial donations through our website is really helpful. We will take gift cards, and gift cards are great. Say we give somebody a couple of cans of chicken and a loaf of bread, and they say, well, geez, do you have any mayonnaise to go with that? We may not, because we buy restaurant-sized bottles of mayonnaise. To have a $5 gift card to Big Y and say, here, you can go get mayonnaise is really helpful too.
So if anybody's got anything to donate, gift cards, cash, we all have to beg nowadays. This is what it's going to take.
Yep,
Kim, again, thank you to you and your team. Thank you so much for joining us. I know your life must be nuts right now. The Berkshire, well, have your hours changed? The Berkshire Food Project, first of all, is at the First Congregational Church. I'm reading my notes at 134 Main Street in North Adams. What are the hours right now for your meal service?
So, right now, what we've done to encourage people to stay home more often, we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So our normal 11:30 to 1 hours, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And what we do is we give 2 meals per the people you're picking up for. So it's not just per the person in line, but say you're picking up for 4 people, we will give you 8 meals when you come. And that's to make up for the days that we're closed. So actually we're doing 1 more meal a week than we used to. We used to be open 5 days a week. Now we're open 3 days a week, but doing 6 meals. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11:30 to 1, look for the big tent behind the church.
Kim, I can't thank you enough. You're one of my favorite people in the world. I think this is the 3rd time now I've interviewed you, once at the hot dog eating competition.
That's right.
Those were such simpler days.
They were.
But thank you again, and I hope to see you soon, and just keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Thank you. It's always good to see you. Thanks for the chance to talk.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.